Hello, Mr. Dunlap.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Sir? Thank you. Thank you.
How are you around the state?
Yeah, you know, as much as we can gather in. It's a big state. So, got my daughter to roll out of bed this morning so she could go vote. So, why Gorham? Why not? You know, we try to go around in a bit of a circle every election cycle. So I usually start, because I live in Old Town. So, and we try to change it up, especially some of the off-year elections, because I like to visit communities we don't ordinarily get to visit on election day. We tend to follow the news cycle, so the TV stations like to find me in Portland for the noon news breaks, and then I try to get to Bangor by 5:30 for the evening news up that way. But then, you know, we're kind of free to move around after that, and we've gone all kinds of different places. Gone to Plymouth, gone to Livermore, went to Biddeford. You know, today we're coming here in Westbrook. We just came from Gray, places we don't normally get to go to. I went to Cumberland last year. You know, sort of along that corridor, not too far off the beaten path, but off the beaten path a little bit. And we try to support local elections officials who really make it happen. You know, I'm in the news, and my name's on the tabulation, but it's those 503 town clerks and registrars that really make it work. So we try to support them.
Thank you for visiting.
Yeah.
As you travel about the state, do you ever see irregularities that disturb you?
The irregularities that disturb me? No, I don't think so, because usually anything that is emerging as an issue is usually handled by the election warden long before it ever gets to our attention. And typically it's confusion more than the irregularities. You know, we'll get complaints from petition signature gatherers, you know, they don't have a table and chair for us. It's like, well, they have space. Table and chair is up to you. You know, so we'll answer questions like that. We've had you know, some one-off situations where someone will drop out of an election right before the election comes along, and then there's a whole series of things that the elections officials have to do that sometimes confuse voters. But you know, what we find, and this is true not just in elections, but across all the 38 titles of Maine law, which those 38 titles, 95% of it was written for about 5% of the population. And when I was on the Fish and Wildlife Committee in the legislature, we did a sort of a pseudo-scientific study about compliance with fishing laws. Now, Maine is the size of the rest of New England. We have 3,000 miles of brooks and streams, 5,000 lakes that you can fish, ponds, bodies of water of any size. And for that, in any given hour, we probably have no more than 40 or 50 game wardens on duty. You're more likely to be kidnapped by Arab terrorists than you are to see a game warden in a remote trout pond. But the compliance rate for buying a fishing license is 97%, because people tend to be law-abiding. They're not looking to, you know, put anything over on anybody, and we see that with elections too. I've been Secretary of State now 13 years. We've had 2 allegations of double voting that we felt squirrely enough that we sent on to the Attorney General's office for further investigation. When they finally peeled away every layer of the onion, what they found was that it was people who just were confused. They were moving from town A to town B. They go to register a pickup truck. That, you know, they say the service rep handles them a bunch of documents. They fill them all out, includes voter registration card, absentee ballot application, the ballot, they get the ballots, different names of what they saw from the town they left before. They already voted absentee. They vote again. They don't realize they're not supposed to vote again. And when you're prosecuting felonies like that, intent has a lot of weight. So, you know, it's what we find with elections when there's questions, it's more or less people just don't know what they're doing. They get confused. Like last cycle, we were only using ranked choice voting for the federal races. And we had a senior state official say, well, you said that we're not using ranked choice voting for governor. My wife and I both ranked our choices for governor. Well, they'd voted absentee. So we called the town clerk, that pulled those 2 envelopes, let them come in and inspect the ballots. Called us back, said, must be losing my mind. I could have sworn I ranked choices for governor. So, you know, there is some confusion about, you know, the thing. We try to get good information, and The local election officials, I think, do a majestic job in clearing these things up long before they ever get to us. So, security is really at the front of everybody's minds around elections, mostly about what happened with the Russians, Iranians, Chinese, North Koreans in 2016. And that wasn't really clear to us what was going on. Homeland Security and the FBI put out a lot of information in the run-up to the 2016 elections about our elections being penetrated. But what was really happening was a massive propaganda campaign. And it was incredibly effective, and we've done a lot of study of that, what they did. And the Russians actually created an entire shadow news service where they take fake people and for years have just regurgitate stories off the international news wires. And a mine cave-in in Brazil or a forest fire in Africa under the same byline, and all of a sudden, Hillary Clinton drinks children's blood, right? And it's from a trusted source, and it caused a lot of people to go at each other on Facebook and other social media. Share if you think that we shouldn't have to declare our guns on our tax forms, that type of thing. And it really put people at each other and caused a lot of division in the public discourse. The actual infrastructure of elections was never affected, especially here in Maine, where we use paper ballots. I mean, yes, you have the state-of-the-art DS200 tabulating machines, which are programmed individually. The memory devices are shipped to you in probably a cushioned bag. Nothing is sent over the internet. You still mail the results to us. Paper ballots, felt pens, and the Russians haven't figured out how to hack that. So we do know a lot of the information we got has been secured. We're not supposed to share it, but we do know that no votes were changed either in 2016 or 2018. So voters should have a lot of confidence, mostly because of the way things are handled at the local levels. Very, very decentralized. There's no central switch for somebody to flip and change the election. So, and that's because of the work that happens at the local level.